Hey there, welcome to In the Field with Bill. I'm just going to be going through some basics. I want to share these things, like I think they're quite useful. I've been using this, the first setup I want to show you here. I'm in quite a nice bit of greenery in the woods, and just want to, like there's some very useful things. This first setup I'm going to show you is something I've used for a long time, and then I started going into using actual tents, but the Poncho setup is what I'm going to be showing you at first. So yeah, here we are in the sticks, as you can see. Nice bit of greenery, like you wouldn't always find it nice cut like this, but here's two tree stumps and I'm looking out for anything like that so I can attach a poncho to. So this is what we're talking about. It's kind of a basic tarp. I think it's German made. This got the hood in the middle that you can use as a protective coating in the winter, wind and rain. Obviously it's got some oils on here, but the thing I find is the oils over the years disappear, and yeah, it has just started raining. But you know, whatever. But yeah, so what I find is it's not very that useful for long term. And what I find is if you are going to be outside in the rain, in big severe rain, I recommend getting yourself something like this. You might not quite make out what it is, but basically I've made myself here a bin bag coat. So here we are inside my little poncho tent, and it's got hailstones coming down on the wire, but as you can see, this is going to be so beneficial in any sort of weather. I find even in the wind, I travelled through Europe, and you get much more severe weather travelling through Europe. But yeah, like, you know, it's never failed me. This poncho setup has never ever let me down once. That's why I've used it for so long. I've got myself a tent now for comfort, but one story I've got for you is there was one time it snowed, and it snowed really heavy, like I'm talking a good few inches off the ground. We was in the Peak District. I had this set up, and because, as you can see here, like if you can see, it's got this really small amount of area where you're insulating yourself, and as the water comes down on the poncho, you actually get an extra layer of insulation. So when it snows, what you find in this setup is you're actually getting an extra blanket on top of you. It is brilliant for that, and I stopped hailstoning there. But yeah, like what is such an incredible, like ingenious, cheap alternative to sort of going camping. But yeah, like this is what I think is so brilliant about it. It's really cheap, it's easy to pack away, you can easily replace these things. I find you always need a stick, because if you take the stick away, it just flops down like that. And what I've got over here, I've got this string. I find strings much more useful than using bungees. The thing about bungees, they do deteriorate over time, and just a little sharp thing can snap your bungee. Bungees are generally heavier. String, reliable. You can cut that. I've got plenty more. It's so cheap as well. Yeah, so I like using string. I like, you know, getting used to remembering the knots and that, because they can be tricky to remember. And this is the other sort of setup that I want to show you. I rarely use this. I don't even think I've used it actually. Like, I've only shown people this setup. I've always found ways to just use either two tree stumps or like a fence. Do you know, like this is a variable way to sleep at night though. Get your sleeping bag and your roll mat down in there, and you'll be quite toasty, you know. the setup requires 6 pegs, okay? Like you got your 3 typical pegs at the end, but you need 2 on these sides. You do need a walking stick or something that you can wrap either this string around or bungees. Bungees work just as well. And this is your last peg, which your string's gonna tie and tension it all together. And it's a bit unstable, it's a bit messy, but it works. And this is the last thing I want to show you. This is the Cobra 2 Coleman tent. It's a bit tricky to set up. Like, it can get a bit overwhelming and daunting with all these technical sort of things, because it's got kind of like 2 layers, right? You've got this inner layer and then you've got the outer layer. The reason I love this though is like it's really cozy. Because it's got a small space, which I'm going to show you in a minute. The whole insulation, like all your body heat kind of reflects off because it's so close to you, like, if that makes sense. You generate a sort of atmosphere of body heat within this and that's the thing about dome tents. I think like you lose a lot of that body heat. That example I was talking about over there, and I was like in the snow in the Peak District, there was this lady, and she was in a dome tent and she had to leave. She just explained like when she woke up and it was all in snow, it was a bit of a shock for all of us. But yeah, do you know, she just said like she left, and lucky like she didn't experience something like hypothermia, but she was really shook and she was just wanting to get home. The thing about these tents though, like, yeah, they're quite expensive. So it's like the first tent I've really used in this sort of way, and I'm really kind of relying on it. But it is a big quality of, like, the quality of life difference. It's really nice to know, you know, you're inside, you're not going to get any bugs. I've never ever had any problem with bugs except mosquitoes. And what I've done to get around that was I bought a curtain net, a 2 meter by 2 meter curtain net. I used pegs to pluck them up onto the top, or the poncho that I was using. Perfect way to get rid of mosquitoes if they're bugging you. So that's one way around using the poncho setup. So there you have it, when it's all erected, and that it can be tricky, as I say, because you've got these rods, they all snap together nicely, and the daunting trouble is getting it all threaded through here, then having to sort of make it balance so it all stretches nicely with this rod that goes through there. They've colour coded it, and it's really like on the top end of what you'd expect for the money you'd pay for it. Like, this is a 114 quid tent. It's got some great features. It's got that it adapts the dome principle, where the wind is just going to pass over. It's not just going to blow away easily. They've really reinforced, got a lot of strings to pin it down, and we're talking like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pegs. We got this ventilation shaft here that's important, so you know you don't get water just through the evaporation coming back into the tent. Now I want to show you this, right? I've just set all that up, and you can sort of see that now you need to set up the inside, and this is what I want to show you. Like, it can be tricky. Like, you've got to pull this inside and stretch it over. They have really been thoughtful in the design of this whole setup. It's not too daunting, and I'll try and show you what I mean. Like, the stretchy bungee thing they got there is really useful. So I'm pulling on this inside layer of this tent. I've got this string here, and it's basically the corner of this tent, the inner tent, and all I have to do is just pull it enough and pop it onto that. And now I have to do the same for the other side, and we're slowly getting the whole thing set up. Yeah, it's quite rewarding after putting in that sort of effort, like, and getting a little rest once you're inside, because there's nothing else you need to do or worry about. You've got wind protection, rain protection. You're already starting to feel the atmosphere of your body engulfing the whole of the tent. And as you can see, it's like you've got plenty of space to work about with. Like, I've had my rucksack in here, you've got plenty of space. I wouldn't go as far as saying you can fit 2 people in here, no way, but maybe you could. But yeah, the quality of life that you get in tents like this, there's so many other things. I don't even know what some of these components that you see here. But look at this, you've got little things like this that you can hang one of those light bulbs that you can get that, you know, just recharge on the USB. You've got these little zips here that you can just act as pockets, and once you've zipped this up, you're good for a nice kit, nice sleep for the night, you know. And that's the tent. That's what I wanted to show you. Yeah, so just going to show you now. This is how it all packs away. Coleman, like Cobra 2 tent, it packs away really nicely. Like, that is quite compact. It takes a lot longer than to pack away just the poncho with all the stuff that I've got. But yeah, you can see the size comparison. Cobra is slightly larger, much heavier as well. I mean, that is quite heavy, don't get me wrong. But altogether, like, yeah, it's manageable. It can fit in something like as small as that backpack there. So that's it for this episode of In the Field with Bill, and hopefully someone found that educational.